Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Mind. You are here, my friends, because you, like me, know that magic is an art form with the ability to move and entertain people like no other. But you know that developing this skill requires diligent practice and a detailed understanding of the craft. So my goal with this show and company is to provide you with a community to introduce you to the people and ideas that will help you to develop your magic. Today, I have with me Jacob Smith. Jacob, I don't have this as a fact or anything, but I believe that Jacob has probably seen more performers than anybody else right now. If you've ever seen a Penguin live lecture, you've probably seen Jacob. He seems to be in the audience of every single lecture, and I don't know how he does it. If you've seen any of Peter Turner's products produced with Penguin, there's also a very good chance that you've seen Jacob. So I wanted to get Jacob on here to talk about that. Talk about how he's been able to see so many lectures, and of the lectures he's seen, which ones stand out in his mind, which ones are a good investment for you, why he remembers the ones he remembers, and I think this will be a good episode. So Jacob, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's good to be interviewed, I guess. I didn't really think I'd have much to share, but
well,
maybe
I think you do. It's a very unique angle, I'll give you that, to be the person who's seen the most Penguin Live lectures.
Yeah.
Maybe other than Dan Harlan, but how many do you see?
At least 300 or 400, I think.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize it was that many.
Well, I've been going there and this before Harlan, I was there actually too. I've been going there since I was 19. I'm now 25. And I've consistently, except for lately I've not been going as much just because, life gets in the way and you want to do other things. And at some point you have to understand too, you see so much that it does get a bit too much after a while.
I get that.
So it's great to have good creativity and to see a lot of different stuff, because the more you're subjected to, in my opinion, the more people you jam with, the more people you get to know, the more people you make those special friendships with, the better off you are. But they have to be genuine, for one. For two, just too much magic is still too much magic.
Yeah, there's always too much magic, and that's what people do. Whether it's, obviously most people don't see as many lectures as you do, but, buying products and then never touching them again. A lot of people just have too much magic in general. But what I want to ask you about this is, as I said in the intro, which lectures stand out in your mind the most? If you look back on the repertoire, 300, 400 lectures that you've seen, and you're asked to think back to the ones that really stand out to you, where does your mind go?
Right. So this is kind of difficult because you have to understand my specialization is going to be in, primarily mentalism. I love hypnosis as well.
Let me already jump in there. Did you have that inclination when you started going to these at 19?
Yeah. Okay. I was doing pure magic until about 18. So I was freshly into mentalism and switching gears towards that. I started doing hypnosis about 16. I got in a lot of funny situations because I had literally hypnotized about half, including faculty, of a 800 person school by the time I graduated.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had I would get sent to the office for suggesting to a kid that when the bell rang, a white rabbit fall out of his shirt and he had to dash after that thing to his next class. I'd and leave him there. I was bearing in mind I was a lot more negative and different of a person back then too. I had my own set of problems, but I started seeing mentalists, all Darren Brown in particular. I went, that is more what I want to do, and it basically is the thing that helped get me out of trouble and more into responsible adulthood, shockingly enough.
Okay. And I would actually hazard a guess that most people who know you from your side in mentalism. Can we turn the volume down a little bit? I'm hearing myself coming back through the speakers.
Yeah.
So you have your company, right? Magic Arts Inc.
I have Mystery Arts Inc. Yeah, it's it's essentially just doing reviews and some content for mentalists. It's going to grow over time. It's just the problem is, I'm trying to learn how to operate these guys. This is taking up more time than performing is anymore. Is learning to be a good content creator. Because I realized that while I might have said at the beginning I don't really feel like I have a lot to share, I feel like content and everything is the future, and I know we talked at this very beginning, and we'll talk more about it later. But I'm focusing more into learning the camera side and the editing side and everything of how to present myself as well as present ideas, and because I think that wrapping the package is essentially how you make ideas worth sharing. But yeah, so I have Mystery Arts Inc. and I do a lot of reviews on there. I've got just shy of 100, I think.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Honestly, when I am about to purchase a product and you have the review, I will watch it. I've seen a lot of them, and the channel is growing fairly quickly, or at least it has a fair amount of subscribers. You're at 400 something now, right?
I just hit 5, I think, which is good. The problem with the gift and curse of it is, I think it's really bizarre. So I want to put this out to anybody that wants to do reviews, that wants to do content for anything. You're gonna get crapped on a lot. Like, and you can take two ways of taking this, right? You can laugh it off and say, "Ha, that's great. I'm hated. That means that I'm loved." There's a polarity to that. You know, you can laugh it off and do that and focus on that positive side of things. Or you can just post all over Facebook about how unhappy you are about people crapping on your content. And I might be hinting at someone there when I say that. But essentially, positivity is key. You've got to, if you get bogged down with it, if you think you're not good enough, if you think you have nothing worth sharing, which I joked about at the beginning, but I don't really believe that, honestly. I know I have stuff worth sharing. If you believe that, it's going to become so, and you're just going to be unhappy, and you're just not going to find as much success because that's telegraphed through, the lens, the eye of the viewer, and internalized in their mind, and ultimately goes to the heart and soul and everything else of their, overall feeling towards you. So be shameless is the whole root of what I'm saying here. But
let's talk a little bit more about the YouTube channel, but I want to come back full circle and get back to the to the lectures because we strayed a little bit.
For this one, I'll ramble a lot.
No problem. I like it when the guests ramble because that just means they're talking about things that interest them. So, with the YouTube channel, where did that start?
So it started with me at age 21. I decided, hey, I'm going to buy this. And it's funny, I've still got the same light kit. They're over. It's funny, I bought 3 soft boxes and a backdrop. The backdrop I realized was stupid looking, so I got rid of it. I was using an HP laptop camera that maybe recorded 480p or something like that. No knowledge of how to do any editing, how to do any video. Just recorded it straight and then uploaded it to YouTube. That laptop is actually, since then, it's like hinges missing. It's in my room. It's destroyed. It's just completely dead. I actually even blew up a rather new laptop, only 2 years old. Not me 2 years old. Laptop 2 years old, obviously. I blew it up trying to upload videos to YouTube for Mystery Arts Inc. and lost everything, and actually had to recover. Luckily, was able to recover some of the hard drive, which had about 10 grand worth of products on there, both sent to me as well as purchased.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was a lot. It was pretty sad, but I got everything for the most part, thankfully. And I actually almost lost it all 2 days ago again, and then I converted it over to a new flash drive. Helpful hint: WD Passport 4 terabyte flash drive. Save yourself trouble, big time.
I have one around here.
I got into it just because I wanted to interview people at first, and I've got a few interviews up. I only did like 4. And unfortunately, once again, I've gone through spells where I'm just completely impoverished, and then where I'm really well off. Thankfully, I've been consistently really well off for, the last few years, which has been really nice. But starting it off, I was working and maybe making, $1,500 a month. I mean, I was serving in different places, and I just didn't have the time to really fully put into it. But the reviews I noticed really stuck, and people found value in them. And I realized I could make really good connections, as well as get some free swag doing the reviews. And I hate to say that it was just because of the free swag, because it really wasn't. It was just my desire to learn more. But you have to understand something. The Penguin Lectures are great. There's a lot of good stuff shared on there. But all of the best secrets out there hide in the books. They hide in things that people don't purchase. There's a product out there no one's purchased, really. I've meant to do a review on it. I just never really have. It's a thing called Phantom, and I can't remember the gentleman that made it. It's Ben something. But that cell phone unlock is one of the best things out there that nobody knows about. And I even come to the version that utilizes the iPhone X. His utilizes the thumbprint models, but mine utilizes the iPhone X as well. It's essentially the same thing, so it doesn't warrant a release or anything. But it's brilliant, and it's only like 15-20 bucks, and nobody knows about it. Thank you to Lance Sinclair for turning me on to it. But you just see all these things that are hidden when you have books. Video is great, and I do think that video is worthwhile. I mean, I'm obviously a video content producer is what I want to do. But when you read a book, there's so much hidden in there, and there's so much more you can get each time you read it, versus when you see a video, you're essentially just getting the same thing again and again and again.
Okay. So you started this 2 years after going to your first Penguin Live lecture. See how I'm roping it back? See how I'm doing that thing? All right, so
I'll keep doing it. Don't worry, I need it.
No worries. So with the lectures, let's focus on this question, even if it's hard to answer.
Right.
Which ones stand out in your mind? And
I'll
help you out in the field of mentalism. Let's narrow it down.
Okay. Well, you know what? The first answer I'm going to give you is going to be really weird. You're not going to think, what? Danny Ortiz, all three of them.
What?
I know. Danny's stuff. First off, I just love Danny. Every time the guy comes around, you got to hug him. He's just such a nice, little Spanish man.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Danny's stuff, I think, is so applicable by taking it just out of card magic and putting it into mentalism. For example, I'll give you a good example. It's not giving anything away saying this. Let's say you're doing your traditional Swami effect where you're doing, the number prediction. I do that all the time. I have one of Lincoln's best boons. I literally bought it directly after his lecture. The one he used in the lecture, I have in a tin sitting on my table right now.
Wow.
Bought it from him. $50, but well spent, because it's just a quick, snappy effect you can just pull out and it does its work. So how do you, using Danny thinking applied to mentalism, how do you make that better? So let's say, I say, think of any number. Okay, let me blah, blah, blah. You do your normal Swami thing. What number came to mind? 67, or 49, or 25, or 36, or even 72. Do you know why? Because any number is possible. And by that time, I've already swamied out and put it in their hand. I say, but no, really, what was the number? And they say, 62. And you go, 62, really? Think about what you've done here. You've sidestepped the reveal by adding on to their thing and not taking it as the actual answer, right? In that time, you swamied the correct number, placed it in their hand, and just kept patterning and let the revelation go back a little bit so that then you have the image ending of 62? Really? Okay. Tell you what, have a look. And they do. But there's so much more in there. Danny's stuff is just so smart. The Spanish guys, all of them, Woody Aragon, Juan Tamariz, all of them just have so much thinking that goes so beautifully into mentalism. And I don't think people have made that connection enough, really. They don't give them enough credit. Mentalists are so snobby towards card magic. They think, ooh, card magic, ooh. Mm-hmm. And they miss out on a lot because of that. It's not the mechanism used to deliver the thing. It's the actual thought and the process in itself and what it accomplishes. That's one of the big things I've been able to do is take a lot of things that, originally this was a billet trick and now I've turned it into an iPhone thing kind of thing. But anyway, once again, roping myself back in. For mentalism, pure mentalism, definitely, obviously Peter is phenomenal. He's a force to be reckoned with. His second lecture was amazing. The first one was amazing at the time because he was pushing the limits, what was possible back then. But now we've got so much new stuff coming out so frequently in the psychological side and some of the psychomechanical mentalism, which love it or hate it, is here to stay, and it is phenomenal. It's getting better every day.
It's amazing.
Yeah, kudos to Fraser Parker. I'm reading through Book of Angels right now, and it's so phenomenally and beautifully written. He's the only person I've ever known that's released Book A, Book B, Book C, Book D, and each one's extended to being better. Uh-huh. That's hard to do, in my opinion. It's a lot like Star Wars in a way. Even George Lucas didn't make the third movie, in my opinion, better than the second. It was already hurdle enough for him to make the second one better than the first. But anywho,
you hear that, Fraser? You're better than George Lucas.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are better than George Lucas after the shit he put out in the early 2000s. Please don't bleep that out.
I won't. No, trust me.
But anyway, yeah, so Peter's second lecture, I think, for even still stands today. I actually perform his lift variation in my shows. I still do. It's funny because I don't really use a lot of psychomechanical stuff on stage, if at all. Mm-hmm. And that's just my personal thing. If I'm getting paid, which I don't do a lot of performing, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going out there doing 3 gigs a week. I'm talking I maybe do like 2 gigs a year, and then I go out and create stuff and have fun. I honestly am moving away from performing, and like I said, moving into being the guy that produces content like this. And that's just where I'm heading as a person, as a creative person.
Sure.
But the thing is, like, that's such a phenomenal effect. You haven't seen it. Go pick up his lecture. It's amazing. But there's definitely going to be Peter's second lecture.
Actually, you know what? I bought the second lecture just for that one effect.
Yeah.
The entire lecture. I didn't know where else to get it, so I bought the entire lecture for that one effect.
Yeah, and it's better than the original.
Better than the original lecture?
Oh, it's better than the original version of Lift.
Oh, Darren Brown.
Yeah, it's better than that one by a long shot. Because I used to perform that one too, but I stopped performing because I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
If this hypnosis doesn't take, then I'm screwed. Which, don't get me wrong, I've done some ballsy stuff. Hypnosis is still like one of my main go-to vehicles for a lot of stuff.
That's really interesting, and I did want to talk about that. I didn't know that you were much of a hypnotist. I'm not, and so anything that you guys do to me is like, I have no idea. I don't understand it at all.
You know what? You want to know the method to all of it? I'll tell you the method to every single thing.
Yeah, well, this is going to be...
Balls out confidence and saying it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't like that answer. But it's the answer everyone gives.
I know, but the thing is, it's true. We'll get back to that later, though. So back to the lectures. Definitely Mark Paul's another one. I love Mark Paul's lecture. It's so good. I mean, it recently went to number 2 on Penguin again, because they promoted it again. As they should, because I don't think enough people saw it. Because I talked to a lot of mentalists that's like, is he Mark Paul's? And they're like, no. That 20-minute act, everything in Mark Paul's lecture sans the human equation, excuse me, the human equation, which is just a 9-person thing, and I think one other one. When I haven't done the whole 20-minute show in its entirety, I used bits and pieces of it. Mm-hmm. But every single individual effect out of there, I have actually used at a Mark Paul's lecture. I've used it either socially, professionally, or otherwise.
Wow.
And that's really saying something. Patrick Redford, I think all 3. That's right. There's a third one coming. I haven't seen the third one. I had a death in the family and wasn't able to attend, but it's going to be on the Redford stack, which I utilize and have the book right next to me up here. It's the only Mem Deck stack I've ever wanted to learn. I would have wanted to learn Woody's had I got his book sooner, but Patrick beat me to him, and I've got Woody's work too, which is phenomenal. But anyway, the stuff in Patrick's lectures are just phenomenal. He's such a creative, clever guy, and I don't think he gives himself enough credit sometimes. He's, the stuff in there, Glim, using the padlock and both using the card. Glim is actually one of the main influences for one of my effects. It's one of the influences going into my iPhone project. There's a piece in there that's loosely based off a chunk of Glim, even though it's going to look completely different to those seeing it. But it's really, really, really great stuff. Oh, it's such a struggle. I'm trying to think of more because I've seen too much. Obviously, meeting Bob Cassidy was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've seen his lecture before because I've seen, his stuff. His act. I've seen his act before. I've seen his lecture before, but just being in the guy's presence was a blessing. I mean, being there for his Q&A project too, and being the guy that interviewed him on the last time he appeared on film was.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I watch it sometimes, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's happy, but it's sad
yeah,
because he's such a great guy. And I felt like just because of youth and the normal stuff. You when you're younger, I'm still 25. I'm still young, but I don't act that way because I got a lot of it out of my system early on with the drugs and drinking and stuff like that. Mostly the drinking. The drugs, don't get me wrong, I've not really touched that territory too intently, since in a long time, but drinking primarily a while
wow,
there.
You're right. You do really act mature for your age. I would have pegged you in 30s just based off of demeanor.
Oh, thank you. Well, you haven't seen me out and about.
Fair enough. Okay, so that's already a lot of lectures. Now let's talk about why. For some of them, Patrick Redford, I think that was the one. No, Mark Paul, you talked about how you've used each of his effects and that sort of thing. Do any of the ones that you've listed stand out to you because of the performer, not the effects?
Definitely Peter's, because Peter's just, I mean, honestly, the guy's one of my best friends in the art. I can trust him with anything. I want to say Ken Dine as well. I forgot to add him to that list. It's so hard to do this because I feel like if other people see this, you think, why wasn't I mentioned?
Yeah.
That's why I don't comment on this very often. This is like the first time I'm really commenting on like, what are my favorite, this and that. So all of you
Magic
watching,
Mind
don't think this is,
exclusive.
this is this. I'm just honestly throwing out things that come to mind. I love you all. Don't hate me, please. If you send me hate mail, no, I will laugh at it, like I said earlier with the content production thing. But if you're my friend, not as my friend, I will probably be very upset, so please don't. Yeah, so Ken Dine for sure is one of those people that just stood out their personality alone. Turner obviously as well. I'm just trying to think of some more. It's really hard because I've just seen so much that my brain just scrambled together a lot.
So does that ever become a problem or an obstacle, having seen too much?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Because when you have somebody else that's set in their ways, telling you their ways, and they match up too much across the board, you think you get set in that way and that's it. But that's not always the answer. Breaking the rules. Like, I'll give you an example of this, right? It seems like really random, but just think about this in cinematography and screenwriting form, right?
Okay.
The movie Back to the Future is largely regarded by a lot of film schools as the best written script of all time.
Really? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. But it follows no normal screenwriting schedule, or not schedule, but practices. The character doesn't change at all.
Right, the
It
archetypes.
does finally in the third one, but there's no change in character. The drama is just bizarre in it. It's just really weird how it's set up. If you want to see more into this, go Google it. Why is Back to the Future count as one of the best scripts ever written? Because it's really interesting to look at, and you can learn a lot from life from it. I feel like one of the biggest things that got imparted onto me over the years is if you look at a method or a principle or whatever, just fitting one thing, you're ultimately screwing yourself.
Can you say that again?
If you just take one method, one idea, one principle, and you just look at it working for one thing, like the Danny Ortiz stuff, and just keeping it to cars,
okay,
you're screwing yourself. I think the other part of it too is people often dumb down their creativity because they're very self-conscious, and that's every idea is good until it's been proven to be shit.
Which
and
may
even if it's
happen.
proven to be shit, you go and refine it. You refine it. I mean, but yeah, for other people whose personality stood out, definitely one of the most recent ones that someone really stood out was going to be the amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling on his name right now. His stage name right now. The Amazing Cochrane or something like that.
This is what you saw?
Yeah, fairly recently. It's been released and everything. He's a guy in a case that has all this crazy stuff. Another one I think a lot of people overlooked really was Rudy Kobe. He's a just straight magic guy, but his personality and everything, his performance style brought him all around the world. His concept of a 3-minute show, a 3-minute act that can take you around the world is phenomenal.
What?
I think in today's world it's been shortened down to 2 minutes or 1 minute now, but
Wait, is that literal? Like he does a 1-minute show?
No, he does a 3-minute act. So basically, he had the four-legged man act, and he did that all around the world, and became a big star during the '90s with it with his shows like Rudy Kobe, Coolest Magician in the World. Which, if you meet him, he's actually a really dorky guy, which is pretty funny. He's just a big freaking dork with a big pump, with a stand-up in the air pompadour, but he's super, super nice. I had a great time, chatting with him very briefly afterwards and everything. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like I said, this is really hard to do.
Sure, I understand. So let's cut it there. That's the mentalism side, and maybe magic with the last one. But there
Right.
we go. Let's tackle this from another angle. Are there any that stand out to you for their how about business advice?
Okay, that's definitely going to be one that's going to be good. Well, I'd say my business mentor primarily is going to be Ken Dine.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
gotta look up.
subscribed to Epic for a long time, and I would still honestly, but I'm just changed my gears recently towards the cameras, and I've invested a lot into camera gear. We're talking like $6 or so grand into cameras.
Yeah.
I luckily paid most of it off. I don't have a lot of debt, but I'm focusing on that and getting credit and stuff in line so that I can do more businessy kind of things. But Yeah, he's the guy that primarily, his email templates, he has an Epic, things like that. It's primarily the business advice I've gotten really, it's been really, really nice. For lectures at business advice, though, Luca Volpe, I remember, had some really good advice in there too. Oh my gosh, this guy's name is Peter. I can't remember what his name was. Not Peter Samuelson, I don't think, because I don't think I was there for his. Lord, he's a big guy, big old school corporate worker guy. He had a lot of really good advice and was really clever. He had a bit in there, and I don't think sharing this is going to be any problem. But it was the best use of that well, other than, use Lior's thing he does in his lecture. Lior, there's one for you. Lior has some good business advice in his, in my opinion, and it's just phenomenal. I forgot to mention his. I've used everything off of Lior's lecture as well. Literally, I've used everything.
Okay.
Everything out of his lecture I've used. But the guy I'm talking about had a great idea using no-tear paper. And basically what he'd do is he'd say, okay, he'd negotiate price. He'd say, okay, I'm going to write my final price on here.
Oh.
If you don't like the price, just tear it up and we'll part as friends. If you love the price, then just shake my hand. They didn't like the price, they try and tear it and couldn't, and they eventually, fine, and they usually shake the hand and just take it. Really clever thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I love that.
I'm just, like I said, just trying to think of some more. Once again, I'm going to say Murray Salchuk. Well, Rudy Kobe, Murray Salchuk had some great business advice because they've obviously done a lot out there. It's strange because I think that business advice, it's hard to pin down what's good and what's bad because there's only certain things that work for me. There's only certain things that are going to work for you and all that. There's a lot of people think they're looking for some silver bullet technique in business, and there isn't. It's just really depend on your personality. And I think the best thing to do, honestly, and I've done this, find someone whose personality kind of matches yours a little bit. And when I say matches, I don't mean compliments. I'm talking like someone that's very similar to you, that's out there working and doing what you want to do. Find that person and ask them what's working for them. You'll get more information out of that than anything else. Because since they have a similar personality, like if you're like me and you're kind of a spaz and you're kind of, loud and energetic, and despite how my demeanor right now, I'm actually a huge child. The amount of times I make just horrible, horrible jokes, it's absolutely outrageous. Find somebody that's like that, that's successful, and ask them what worked for them. That's a really good way to go about it. I've done that, and it's worked really well. That's kind of why Ken's one of my business guys, because my personality, I feel like we have a very kind of similar personality in the way that, we just like horrible, obscene jokes and that kind of thing.
Okay. So the next obstacle in that is you have to know who you are. And do you have any advice about that?
Journal it and, mind map it. It's a really hard, sometimes, I'll tell you, the hardest thing about growing up, I tell it to a lot of people, because I deal with a lot of a lot of the folks out there that I generally deal with are younger, especially in the work I do. Photography is kind of nice. I do some younger folks, but mostly it's older startups and businesses and stuff like that. But one of the big things I've noticed just across the board about people in their 20s and stuff is they think that they know it all. First off, empty your cup. Don't be afraid to do that. The moment that you're able to say, I'm a complete know-nothing and a moron, is the moment that you're going to learn more than you'll ever learn.
Absolutely.
And that goes for mentalism, magic, life, everything. The other part is, it's you got to have that genuine empathy, I feel like. If for finding yourself, if you're not empathetic towards others, you're not going to be empathetic towards yourself at all. And you're going to basically miss out on a lot of details. If you're somebody that feels like you're not liked by a lot of people, which I feel most of the time, honestly, I don't feel like I'm a very liked person. Go and find out why, and don't be scared to do it. And understand sometimes it doesn't matter if the people you're around don't like you, because if they're not doing what you want to do in your life, and as sad as kind of almost vulgar as this sounds, their opinions don't matter towards what you're going to do anyway. Right?
Right.
That sounds a bit direct and a bit harsh, but the opinions are a lot like everybody has them and they all stink. I bleed myself that time.
That was amazing. It sounded exactly like a clown nose.
Yeah, I know.
What?
I learned it from watching a beatboxer. Another thing, learn stupid stuff like that. It's fun and it breaks the ice. Then you want to screw with your magician friends, learn to do that, saying hey ha. Hey ha. Hey ha. But then you just keep doing it until it sounds like that. But the best thing to do is do that to people and do this while you're doing it. Magicians will think you have a squeeze bulb, you got you, bitch.
That's so funny.
It's so fun. But yeah, I think that it's that, and I think that you want to find yourself again, find out who you are, learn something that you thought you'd never have an interest in, and force yourself to have an interest in it. That's, once again, what this stuff is. I thought I never would have thought. I mean, even though I'm doing the review show, don't get me wrong. It started off as me wanting to have a better, recordings and things like that and make the review show better. But now it's spurred off into the fact that I might just, if I can stop performing and just do video and audio work, I'd actually prefer that. And I learned a lot of myself from that. I picked up, when I first got on, before we started this recording, I got on, I was playing guitar as I was calling you up. And I learned a lot from teaching myself guitar. You just learn everything you can. This is one of the things that I know this about myself, and it irritates the shit out of other people. I get really bored very easily in a lot of situations because I think sports are dumb. I can't help it. I think they're dumb. I think that a lot of things people fixate on are just kind of pointless. And I mean, it kind of, it's interesting. I think I'm one of the unique people that think, a lot of stuff that most people find interesting or not. But when I get bored, I can't help it. I pull up my phone, and I've got PDFs on this thing. I've got everything. I mean, if I want to declare how bored I am to get out of a situation, I will literally pop my headphones in and watch a video at a bar. But the thing is, it sounds like that's do it rudely, obviously, but it's mainly because that hunger for knowledge that I have is so strong that it outweighs really what I care socially. As weird as that sounds. So, in a long roundabout way of saying, be hungry for knowledge. You'll learn so much about yourself learning to do stupid things you never thought you'd want to learn. Learn to cook. That'll really show you how your patience wears and everything. Learn to edit videos. You'll learn so much from that. What your strengths, your weaknesses are, how you process information, things like that. Go out and meet random people and have fun. When I was single, there was a solid year where I just went on literally 5 dates a week.
That's a lot of dates a week.
Oh, yeah. And you know what I do? I do readings. I test magic tricks. I had no desire to be with the people at all.
That is so funny. That's great. That's brilliant.
Yeah. If you're single, I mean, everyone's focusing on this stuff. I want to learn this to get okay with the ladies or whatever, or the men or whatever you're into. You don't have to always get the end outcome. You can sometimes just go on a date for fun, and do it. Win some drinks from some people. Make yourself look good. Make yourself feel good. That kind of thing. You got. I think that's another big thing about finding yourself. Don't be afraid to make yourself feel good. Don't. For a long time I put myself on the chopping block and just gave. That's actually why I don't really go around to the lectures as much now. I gave a lot. And I'm not an employee of Penguin. And I got product from them, but I didn't really get paid for anything.
Sure.
And after a while, that wears on you, makes you realize a few things. So that's why I don't really go around that much anymore. And I haven't for like the last 2 or 3 months. I don't want to badmouth the guys at Penguin. I love them to death. I'd still, if they needed my help for something, I'd probably help them out. It's just you can only give so much before you realize that it's just being taken from you. Don't be afraid to give, but also don't be afraid to Not once you've given too much, know when you've given too much. Because
So
it'll set you back if you have your hopes set on one thing of somebody helping you out and that person never has any desire to help you.
so let's say someone listens to that and they figure out who they are, so they think. Then you need to find someone who's working who matches you, right?
Yeah.
In a few ways. But how do you find that person? What is the process of figuring out who in the business is like you? I mean, you've had the fortune of seeing 300 or 400 lecturers.
Oh yeah.
But do you have any advice for someone who hasn't seen as many people as you have in finding someone who matches you?
Reach out on Skype. You have no idea how friendly and personable 99% of people are. Well, you have to understand, people are busy. They have lives. If you get butthurt because Paul Brook won't Skype you, for example. I love Paul Brook. Hi, Paul. If you get butthurt about person X won't Skype you, then you're going to burn a bridge before it begins if you start getting crappy with them about it. Truth is, if you go on and you're just a nice, personal person and you have genuine sincerity and wanting to get to know somebody, generally that will happen for you. Funny story, before I was on Penguin or anything, there's a guy named Timon Kraus. Many of you probably know Timon because he's on Penn and Teller and he's phenomenal. In my opinion, Timon is in the top 3 mentalists on the planet.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
And the thing is, he's not really Timon creates, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't create a ton. He's just so good at what he does. He's probably one of the top 3 best mentalistic performers on the planet.
Whoa.
And I am on Mystery Arts Inc. from before he was on Penn and Teller, years before, from back in like 2014 or 15. Go watch it. It's on there. It's like one of the very first videos on Mystery Arts Inc. But Timon is just phenomenal. And, I was just posting on the cafe about learning hypnosis way back when. And first he reached out to me on the cafe. He was in New Zealand at the time, and he was developing some of his non-sleep hypnosis stuff he does. And then a couple of years later, we actually got on a Skype. And for a while, and I haven't spoken to Timon in a while. It's been really sad. He's just so busy is the thing. And I understand that because he's one of the best, and he's become one of the best, and he deserves it. We used to Skype literally multiple times a week for 4 hours at a time. And you learn a lot when you have a friendship that tight of somebody that, you get on. Like, I remember the first time I Skyped him, I'm talking to him, he says, "So what's that?" Boom! And he had these ping pong balls on his thumbs that had dots on them like eyes. Look, his eyes popped out. And I'm like, what in the fuck is this? Who is this guy? And he's just honestly one of the sweetest guys on the planet. He's got so many gags like that. Excuse me. But that would have never happened had I not just been proactive. I would have never got to know Peter Turner that well if I had not just been proactive and supported and talked to him out of the blue when I just heard about him out randomly. Same thing with Ken Dine. I reached out to him because I'd seen and done Primal Prediction. That's all I knew about him, really, other than the fact he was a relatively well-off corporate performer. And we got on great. We interviewed him on there, too. He's on the Mystery Arts Inc. thing as well. But moral of the story is just, if you're honest and sincere in what you want to connect with somebody, if you want to take and get free product, no, you're not going to do very good. That's one of the things, too. If you want to get into reviews and you're just in it just for the free swag, you're going to screw yourself. You're not going to do good because people are going to sense your insincerity. You want to just find somebody, support them in some way, and make connection is what I'm saying. And I hope that wasn't just rambling on about stupid stuff there, but make that connection. Don't be scared. You did it for me. You reached out to me, you said hello. You offered me your time, and I understand time's something that you will never get back, and I want to make sure the time I give to you is worthwhile. And that's the mentality you should really have about it.
Well, I think if you look at people, either they're successful or they're not. And the difference there is either they'll have a lot of money or they'll have a lot of time. And I right now have a lot of time, so don't worry about taking my time. I have a lot of it.
Right, and well, this is the thing, though, and I think of this, and once again, not calling myself an old guy here, still young, I'm 25, but
it's amazing.
Every minute that I give to someone or something that's not worth the time. Which, bearing in mind, there's a lot of things worth time, in my opinion. That's why I can't justify working for, $7. I don't know how people work for $7 or $8 an hour because, fucking shit, an hour of your life's worth a hamburger, really?
Yeah.
But every moment you give away for something not worthwhile, whether it just be watching television, I wake up every day at 8 o'clock or earlier because I can't stay in bed past then unless I'm ill or something like that. Every moment that you just splurge and don't use, you're taking away time from your children and from people that truly love you and from yourself to achieve the best things you could possibly achieve. Don't get me wrong, I'm as much of a fan as the next guy of, splurging and binge watching King of the Hill or, Adventure Time. Yeah, that's right, I like Adventure Time. Rick and Morty. I'm a huge fan of splurging on that stuff, but the truth is, I get something out of it, and I can understand that. And I'll usually watch those things with my significant other, with my friends, something along those lines. But just don't waste. You have to understand. You just have to look at it that way. That every moment that you make, every moment you give or that you take worthwhile, because you're either giving or taking time away from people that truly love either you or somebody else.
I love Rick and Morty. With that said, so now we've identified. Sorry, can you say that again?
Worth every moment.
Yes, very much so. All right. So now we've identified how you can learn to know yourself, taste a lot of things, learn a lot of different things you'll learn about yourself. And we've learned how to get in contact with someone. But I still want to know how you can identify the people that you need to get in contact with. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how do you identify them? That's a good point.
That might be hard.
See, I mean, you have to understand, too, in this time thing I said, splurging, I scour the internet for a lot of videos. And a lot of that's how I've learned to do camera work and editing and, learned how to do the Mystery Arts Inc. stuff, learned how to do a lot of stuff. Also, you should scour the internet and listen to other people talk about other people. Have you seen X? X is insert performer's name. No, let me look him up right away. Do it. You've got to go out, and if you can't find video of who this person is, then do the same thing I said. If you think that what they have is worthwhile, Skype them, video them, call them, get them on a line. And I think that's really it. You just have to see them in action, see how you gel. And R is what R. Maybe it is R. R what they're is what they're doing. There we go. Is what they're doing. Oh my gosh, such horrible English. Is what they're doing in line with what you want to accomplish, and does their personality either complement yours? And by complement, personalities complement each other when they're opposites typically. Or are they similar? Complement versus similar are two different things. Or are they similar to you? Similar people, I think, are the ones that can give you the best advice if they're doing well in the position you want to be in. If you're unhappy, for example, if I feel very down, I'm unhappy with life, generally one of the people I like to talk to is Turner, actually. Turner's really good for that stuff. I'm not saying go call Peter Turner for problems, but I'll talk to him because I feel like we're very similar in the way that we think about things. And I've learned a lot from him, and we share a lot of similar things along those lines. So I know I can talk to him, and I know he's good in these areas, and he can give me really worthwhile advice. So that kind of thing. But don't be afraid to look at both polarities. And identifying people, that is hard. It's hard because you have to scour the internet, find these videos, you have to see them work. You have to see if what they're doing is really what you want to do. And sometimes you don't even have that option. You just have to reach out to them and just see what happens. I've reached out to people before. Luckily, maybe one person I've reached out to, I've gone to Skype with them. I just went, I don't like that person. Maybe one. And I can't even think of who it is. I just know there has to be at least one, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. But time isn't wasted when you're devoting it to finding and understanding things that you struggle with. Because there are a lot of geniuses out there. Because people, I think, look at geniuses as, Michael Murray, which Michael Murray is a genius in every sense of the word, but this kind of comes from isolation. It made me really rethink the intro to that book. A genius is somebody that just gets you unstuck. That's all they are. So technically, your plumber's a genius. So all you got to do is just find somebody that's your genius, the person that gets you unstuck, essentially. And you can either do that through finding them is through looking at things of what they do, or just connecting with them personally. I know I won't ramble anymore because I know that's kind of what I've said like a million times in a row, but
yeah, but it's important.
Really reinforce, don't be scared to reach out to people, because that's how you throw the spaghetti against the wall and see if it sticks, is once you have them face to face or camera to camera and you're chatting about what you both care most about or what they care most about that you're interested in, or anything like that. Another big thing, this is a cool tip I'll give right here too. I've made the best friendships in this art by getting the conversation off of mentalism, magic, and on to something like music, videography, things like that. I will almost do all I can to get the mentalism out of the way and into something that's a side interest that they're very passionate about. For example, I did that with Frazier and music. Frazier Parker, we bonded a lot over, obviously over mentalism, but over music we talk a lot too. And he's got me into Radiohead, like in a big way. Like I thought they were just kind of okay before, but once I started talking to him and really got into their music, I just learned to appreciate it a lot more. And that just strengthened the bond of friendship that we have and everything. I think a lot of people think that it's just, friendship should just happen, but you got to put work. It takes work to create a good, lasting connection and friendship that works out for you and produces things for you in your life.
How do you establish contact with these people for the first time?
Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Hey, hi. Hey there, X. I've been investigating XYZ, and I really found this interesting. This is just a framework, but be sincere. It has to be sincere. If you're not sincere, you're wasting your time. I think Ken Dine, I think that's exactly what I said. I said, hey, Ken, so excited to connect with you. So excited to finally connect with you. I've read Primal Prediction. I really love it. I'm doing this channel that does interviews, and I've also, blah, 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 blah. And that's when he told me, hey, I'm coming over Penguin Live, and then he came, and blah, blah, blah. We had a great time when he was here, that kind of thing. And it's just, once again, you just got to do it. Don't be scared. Don't sit there in front of your screen and wonder, what am I going to write? What am I going to say? Screw it. Do you want to know study your conversations you have with friends. Sometime, if you can, just pick somebody you're really good friends with, go to your recorder app, and just record your conversation. Don't mention it to them or anything. Just sit it down and record your conversation and listen back to it. Notice how well it flows. Notice how you don't have to have transitions into things. You just naturally flow. You want to establish that with the people you want to connect with, because that's what you feel when friendship is there. You know what I mean? It's weird to say. It's very ethereal in nature, but you want to have that free-flowing conversation where it doesn't matter. You don't have to have transitions into things. You're just friends jamming. That's what you want to create, essentially. And you should honestly create that anyway. But I think a lot of people get stuck in their own heads, scared about that kind of thing, and that's what holds a lot of people back from reaching out to people they really want to connect with. And usually those people really want to connect with you too. And people just think they're too good, or they don't have enough time, or whatever. Almost never the case from what I found out.
Jacob, this has flown by. Guess how much time we've been talking?
Are we at 2 hours?
Not even close.
What?
Wow, you went high. So now what I say isn't going to seem impressive, but in my mind it was like 20 minutes. No, it's been like 48.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Right on.
So, usually these don't go much more than an hour, but let's see what we can do in the next ending bit here. Before this started, we almost talked about video versus podcast. And I don't think it's a competition, per se, but
I don't think so either.
I want to hear what you think about podcasts.
Okay. First thing is, I'm just someone that never really ascribed much to podcasts. I like audiobooks and stuff. Don't get me wrong. The thing is, too, I'm only in an automobile typically from point A to point B, and the most I usually travel is across town. So I'm a little biased in this, right? I think podcasts have a very particular audience, and these are people that thrive on audio and everything. I'm a very visual guy. That's why I love video. I just love getting on. For example, I'm a diehard, and I'm not a big subscriber. I don't subscribe to a lot of channels on YouTube, really, but I'm a diehard subscriber to Peter McKinnon. I can't remember pronounce Maddie's last name, but you'll know he's the guy who did Travel Fields, and now it's just Maddie and his last name, and Casey Neistat. I'm a diehard subscriber to those guys because I think they've revolutionized YouTube, the whole platform. They've really made it happen, and especially Peter because he's did 1 million followers in 1 year, and on top of that, he's also got a background in magic. He was actually the photographer and videographer for Illusionist for a long time. Mm-hmm. Which I think is just cool. I didn't know that until after I'd already delved into his stuff. I didn't know that. And just watching his video and said, I used to do product shots and videos for a company called Illusionist. And I'm like, what?
Oh,
so
yeah.
you really took all the pictures of those cards that I really didn't need, but I bought when I was a teenager? You fucker. But there's other things too. And I'm sure you're going to – I want your input as well on this.
Yeah.
But there's just some simple joy, once again, that love of learning, of just learning this thing. How does this work? How does it turn? How do we use this to capture something extraordinary and then alter it to make it even more extraordinary? Or how do we capture something mundane on it and then through the process of editing and handling make it something extraordinary, right?
Right.
Like I was earlier, like yesterday, I haven't been able to play. I bought some new lenses. I'm really excited about this. So now I've got like $700-800 in Canon lenses here. So I bought all these lenses, right? And this goes back, once again, I was talking about the love of learning. I bought all these lenses because I want to learn how to use them properly. This guy's my favorite. In case you're curious on DSLRs and everything, what I've got here is a T6i Rebel. It does great stuff. Really all you need for a lot of vlogging and stuff is a 24 frames per second to 30 frames per second DSLR. I mean, they're obviously really nice ones. The 7i goes to 60 frames per second, I think, at 1080p, and this does 60 frames at 720. I know it's a lot of French to those of you who aren't camera people, but there's something just extraordinary about these things, and that's my main thing. I know it sounds like I'm tangenting again, but I'm coming back.
I get it.
Bringing it all back. But there's something just awesome about learning how this thing works. Because I love the audio and the visual element. I focus mainly on the visual element because the audio side I'm still getting the right equipment for. Like I've got my Rhodes mic. I mean, you saw earlier, I think we're trying to hook up one of my Rhodes portable mics to the laptop to improve the sound, but it looks like my sound's doing pretty good. So we're good on that. But there's just something about doing things visually and being able to put a track of music under it and film some B-roll. Maybe you're at a park. Maybe you're at a restaurant. That's how I got started. I literally, my fascination in testing to see if I want to do video elements, I've still got it. This iPhone right here I still use for video and filming because these things shoot great video despite the fact that they have a fixed aperture and everything. These shoot amazing video. This is a 6S. Obviously, my new one, the iPhone X, it shoots even better. And the front cam shoots 1080p at 30 frames, which is great too. But I would sit there at a restaurant, and I would just film interesting shots of my food and of the restaurant. I would literally sometimes get up and walk around the restaurant and just do some shots. And people would say, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm just doing some filming real quick. And I didn't have an editing machine like I've got with this MacBook now. So I just edit it on my phone and splice it together and see what happened. And some pretty cool stuff came out. I said, wow, I actually feel like I've got an eye for this. So I did more. But that's why I think, that's just personally why I find video over podcast. That, and I think that YouTube, you have to understand that YouTube is the largest search engine on the planet. If you type in right now, some Fraser Parker, or an effect by Fraser Parker, second coming by Fraser Parker, I almost guarantee you my video is going to pop up before anything else.
Do you want to test it?
Yeah, go ahead. See what happens. Type in like second coming by Fraser Parker.
All right. YouTube.
Oh no! Don't even do YouTube. Do Google.
All right. Second coming Fraser Parker. So the first thing is Magic Cafe. The second thing is his website. The third thing is you.
One of the top three.
The first video is you.
Oh, good. So yeah, like it's just, and the thing is, if you have a lot of people are focusing on SEO and search engine optimization, I feel like, for websites. But if you do YouTube videos and YouTube content, people like Stephen Bridges are pros at this. Which, once again, I know I'm not a subscriber to it right now because I'm just focusing my finances in other places, and I'm not really too sure if I want to perform for a living now. I might just do the video, and then do performing as fun, and creating is the business. But really, the guy Stephen Bridges, who does a lot of articles for Epic, which I have Epic. I've had it for 2 years, and I still read the articles all the time. I pull them out over here and read them.
What is this? Is this Stephen Bridges, the magic YouTuber?
Yeah.
What's
He's
Epic?
a columnist. Epic is Entrepreneurial Performers Inner Circle. It's Ken Dine's vision that he first shared to me when he came here for Penguin Live. He sent me a couple of copies, a beta tester, and I just subscribed for 2 years. It's actually just this year I didn't subscribe just because I feel like I've got so much information. I need to work through what I've got before I get more, essentially. So it's really great stuff. I honestly, if I would subscribe to it if I didn't have my finances tied up in other places. Like I've got it tied up in this MacBook I'm talking to you on right now, which is about $2,100. Then these lenses, which are about, a couple. I've got about $6,000 in camera equipment. Most of it's paid off, but there's still a little bit left.
Right.
And I'm trying to save up to buy a house right now, things like that. So I realized that my performing career needs to take a sidestep to. I'd rather act, and this is another thing too. This is gonna be very controversial for some of you. I would rather learn to make a career out of this. This is a necessity in the coming world, in my opinion. Corporations need video. They need commercials. They need training films. And they need somebody that knows how to do it. And you'd think there's going to be shit tons of people know how to do it. But the problem is, there might be a lot of those out there, but how many of them do you think can actually present themselves correctly? That's one of the big problems. Because I have a really good friend that, he's phenomenal at video. I've seen some of his work. It's really nice. The guy can't present himself worth a damn, though. He just doesn't take care of himself. If he was going to an interview, he would just throw on a wrinkly button-up shirt and like a pair of slacks that might have a rip in them and go in. You have to understand that. Like, I'm not saying anyone's better or worse for, that and vanity, but being able to present yourself is key, and that's one of the main things I learned from being a performer, I feel like. And that's what's going to translate to this. Plus, I want this because if we have another problem where performing goes down, like 2008 on, performers are really not getting paid as much as they used to be paid. It's true. I know because I've talked to a lot of the pros. They tell me they're not making as much as they used to. That's not across the board. There are some people that are still exceptions to the rule. But you have to understand they're exceptions to the rule, not the other way around. So learning, in my opinion, a skill like this is going to support me and feed my family in the future if performing doesn't work out for me. Or if I just decide, much like what, oh my gosh, who's the big John Riggs? John Riggs decided I hate performing and went a completely different direction. Honestly, if that ever happens to me, I want to have this to be able to do. Something else I'm just passionate and love and can make some really great money from. So I think I tangented a little bit too much from the main thing. But, I think the video is the future personally because everybody's got a mobile device. Everybody's always watching a video. And it's the easiest way to build an audience. People want to see face-to-face.
All right, well, here's the argument for podcasts.
Boom. Ready.
Podcasts are not a time taker. That is to say, if you want someone to watch your video, they have to sit down and watch your video. But the reason that things like Alexa are blowing up is because they don't take any time or attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom's gotten into podcasts, and anytime she cooks, she sets a podcast, and so she doesn't have to sit and pay attention to the device. It can just run, right? It's audio waves. It's everywhere. You can walk around and listen to a podcast while you're cooking. It's a multitasking tool, which is why it's going to be so available to everyone. And the world is really shifting towards audio. Look, I mean, Alexa is like the best example of how much we've turned towards interacting with our devices in that way, right?
Yeah.
Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes. Actually, she may have heard me just now. No, okay, good. But audio, Alexa, Google Homes, all these things are really blowing up. And the same thing is happening with podcasts. And being an early adopter in something is like such an important, the mover's advantage is so important. So if you look at people like Joe Rogan, they're enormous, right?
Yep.
Like, because they've been there from the get-go. Tim Ferriss, he has a podcast that's blowing up like crazy.
Actually, the books underneath, real quick, the books underneath this laptop that's elevating it are The 4-Hour Body and The 4-Hour Chef. Two of the books you can read, period.
Fantastic. I have The 4-Hour Body in my car. Do I have another book here? Yes, I do. Hang on, I gotta tell you. Ugh. Here we go. 4-Hour work. Oh no, you can't see. Right, the video's turned off for you. Okay, I'm holding right now the 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah, 4-Hour Work Week's great. I want to get Tools of Titans, and I think he released another one, Tribe of Mentors as well.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the price to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go to Half Price Books and buy them for extra cheap.
So and I'm looking at all these people, the people who like really know what they're talking about, and they're all shifting towards podcasts. If you listen to Tim Ferriss, he'll tell you that his podcasts have gotten more traction than every one of his books combined.
Yeah.
It's like, think about that for a second.
I agree with you on that. You know, I guess maybe that comes from also, I'm not a diehard. Like, I don't own an Alexa. I don't know if I ever will. I love Amazon and everything else. I just don't like the concept of the Alexa that much. I might get a HomePod eventually. And that could be why I kind of agree to disagree with you, because I'm not going to disagree, because you're right. How many times have I been asked, excuse me, have you heard Joe Rogan's podcast?
Right.
I've been asked that countless times.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Tim Ferriss show. I know he had a television show, and I don't think it succeeded. But I know the podcast is doing phenomenally.
It's amazing. He makes so much off that podcast.
Yeah. The thing is, too, I guess I'm also coming from a place where I don't understand how to make money off the podcast.
Yeah.
Except for like referrals and things like that. Versus, YouTube, it's
built in.
Yeah. Kind of, unless you're like me right now and you're under 1,000 subscribers and they take all that away from you. But I don't expect to make money from YouTube anyway. I do it because I'm passionate about it.
Well, let me give you a suggestion to think about, and this is something I think I want to do. I think I want to change the format of my podcast, because right now it's a lot of work. I have to manually upload audio to my website, and then I have a feed that reads the audio on my website and puts that on podcasting platforms. It's a lot of work, but one thing that you can do that's effortless if you upload to YouTube is you can have your YouTube connected to a podcast. So when you upload a video, it strips the audio and it just turns that into a podcast episode automatically.
That's actually what I was going to say. That's what I would prefer to do.
Yep. People can listen to your reviews and you don't have to do any extra work.
Yeah, because they don't really need to see the visuals much on my stuff anyway.
Right. Yeah, what you do would be perfect for an audio medium.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. I think actually I will go on record and say I will make that happen by the end of the year.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, so we're at an hour 3. Is there anything that you would like to mention or add on or throw in that hasn't come up naturally that you think is important for someone listening to take away? If not, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, once again, just be friendly. Be interested. This is the biggest advice I got from Doc Hilford. Another one I didn't mention with Penguin Lives. Doc's incredible. Be interesting. Be polite. But ultimately be unavailable. And what I mean when I say unavailable, I mean be so into what you're passionate about and doing what you're passionate about, you don't always have the time. Because that shows, and that telegraphs a lot of stuff. When somebody says, hey, can you Skype? And you say, I can't right now. I'm filming this project. Can we do it later? It shows volumes about who you are and your work ethic. So, yeah, like that's a big thing. Replace those 3 B's with your be prompt, be polite. Don't be compliant. The 3 B's we're taught in school are compliance. The 3 B's I just told about are about the self and getting and basically promoting who you are in the best possible light. Keep an eye out for my products coming out soon, I guess.
Absolutely. Now is the time to do that.
Yeah, I'll just plug them. I've got an iPhone project coming out, as well as I've timed them out. I've got at least 10 things to release. I don't know if they'll all come out this year, but the plan is to have them all digital downloads. I don't want to deal with DVDs. I don't want to deal with physical format. I think ebooks and PDFs are a bit overrated anymore. They're just so taboo.
Yeah.
That being said, I like my ebooks. Don't take as me smearing them too much. But for me, they're not what I want to do. I want to make products that have cool B-roll in them, that kind of feel immersive and feel like you're actually watching something cinematic while also learning a really cool, I'll say, trick.
So let me just add a second to that. Jacob is the guy who knows the most about propless. And if he's not the guy, he's one of the guys. If you look on his channel, he has so many reviews on propless things, mentalism in general. And if you look at the people he spends time with and goes back and forth with, they're all top grade mentalists, grade A people. So you don't really have to worry about this next project. And I know it's not out yet, I haven't seen it or anything, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that it's going to be a good investment. Yeah, and the thing is, too, the iPhone project, it's your iPhone is their iPhone or your iPhone is the prop. So there's actually not really, it's 100% surefire as long as you can direct people and perform. I consider that propless.
So that's the cool thing I should mention, too.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are scared, you're like, oh, fudge, I'm going to get some kind of thing that's going to, require a mental reframe and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a bit of that in there, but it's tied in solidly with physical methods, so you can't really fail.
Right.
So that's an important thing. But yeah, that's really all I've got. I can't believe I've had this much to share in general.
It's been amazing. I can't believe how quickly this has gone. In my mind, it's 30 minutes. We're at an hour 5. So
I never shut up.
Jacob, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate considering me to reach out for this.
Absolutely. Guys, share this episode if you found anything useful in it that you want others to hear. How was that?
Sexy.
Thanks. All right. Bye, guys.